I think we have this idea that fiction is only about escapism, that we read stories solely to make us smile, or make us laugh, sometimes even make us cry, or to take us on adventures to worlds far beyond the one that we know. But there are also stories that bring us back down to earth, that remind us of things we don't necessarily like to talk about, or more importantly, make us face those things we don't necessarily like to talk about. So let's talk about them. Hi everybody, it's Lydia here. Today's video is all about books that focus on issues society considers taboo. I'm making this video because over the last couple of months I've been reading numerous books written by authors who are attending YAShot. YAShot is a one-day festival taking place on the 28th of October celebrating young adult and middle grade literature. There are over 70 authors attending, taking part in Q&As, discussions, workshops and signings, and I will put all the information in the description below for you to find out more, so go check it out. Anyway, while I've been reading all these books leading up to YAShot, I've noticed how a lot of the authors attending have written some incredible books talking about issues society considers taboo. One of those I want to talk about is Kat Clarke. I've read both Entangled and Undone over the last couple of months, and on top of being incredibly well written and thoroughly gripping, they both tackle subjects that we try to ignore. Undone in particular is an incredibly raw account of bereavement, bullying and also teenage suicide. According to the Society of Teen Suicide, every 2 hours and 11 minutes a person under the age of 25 commits suicide. And for every person who commits suicide, there are 50 to 100 other cases of people attempting suicide. And yet, we never talk about it. There are obvious reasons, of course. It's painful and horrible to even contemplate, but that's why authors like Kat Clarke are incredibly important. There's nothing to be gained from shying away from these issues. Only in facing them can we actually learn anything. In the same vein, Close Your Pretty Eyes by Sally Nichols focuses on an issue that we don't like to discuss because the thought of it alone is too horrible to even comprehend. It follows the character of Olivia, a young girl who has been raised in the childcare system and who has on multiple occasions been the victim of child abuse. In the book, Olivia becomes so consumed by what she has experienced that her fears begin to manifest themselves in the form of a ghost. The result is a truly terrifying book that frightens the reader as much as it does Olivia. But it's only when you finish the book that you realise her fear was so overwhelming, not because it was a result of fictional things like ghosts or ghouls or things that go bump in the night, but it was because of very real, very horrible things that no person, let alone a child, should have to live through. This isn't an easy read, but it shouldn't be. We shouldn't dumb down stories that touch on these issues just because they make us feel better. Instead, books like Close Your Pretty Eyes shake us to the core so much that we come away from them wanting to change things. Moving on now to a book that touches on a completely different subject. Asking for It by Louise O'Neill is a book which touches on the issue of consent, and it says a lot about how much we need books like this when you consider the fact that only 2 days before Asking for It was published, a lunchtime chat show here in the UK ran a poll asking the question, is it ever a woman's fault if she is raped? Thankfully the poll was removed within hours, but it only goes to show how important it is that we talk about issues such as sexual abuse and consent. And it is through books like Asking for It that we are able to start a dialogue and create a foundation on which to discuss these issues. In this book, the lead character of Emma is at first glance not an overly likeable character. But this is a very clever ploy from O'Neill to force the reader into asking the question, did she deserve it? The answer is of course always no, but O'Neill herself stated in an interview that she wanted to make the reader complicit. I want the reader to examine their prejudices and question where they come from and maybe think differently in the future. Literature forces us to confront the issues we try to ignore, generates discussion and fuels action. In the real world we can choose not to talk about them, but through reading these stories we have no choice but to face them. Anyway, that is it for me today. I wish I could have talked about more books that tackle these important subjects, but there just isn't enough time. However, I have put a link in the description below to a list of all the books written by authors who are attending YAShot. And regardless of whether you're actually able to attend the event yourself, I really recommend checking it out. There are some really incredible, exciting and amazing books on that list. They're not all taboo tackling books. Some of them are fantasy, science fiction, even some warm-hearted romances. I seriously recommend checking them out. And again, a reminder that YAShot takes place on October 28th in Uxbridge. I've put a link in the description below to where you can buy tickets. There are still some available, so go check that out. I will be there. I hope to see you there, and I will see you again soon. But until then, bye.